thanks for being here with me today. We have Abbey Williams. She's been on here before and she's absolutely fantastic. She's a behavioral health therapist, the producer and host of the Mimosas with Moms podcast, content creator of the social media platforms, and author of an ABC of Families and mother of four. She is committed to supporting, empowering, and connecting with mothers in all seasons of motherhood, and she navigates her blended family and co-parenting life with her husband, 4 kids, and 2 sister labs. I love that so much. We're going to be talking about how to navigate a co-parenting relationship so that the child wins. Abbey, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me back. I love this summit that you guys do. And so I'm so excited to be back at Mom Conference. So thank you.
You bet. And we're glad to have you. So let's start with, what was your experience like when you first had to start co-parenting for the first time?
Yeah, so I started my motherhood journey a little bit different than most. I was a young mom. I started at 21 years old. I was halfway through my bachelor's degree and found out I was pregnant. So not only was I now kind of facing this new life journey as a young person, when I feel like as 21 years old, you're very much still a kid yourself, and now coming into this motherhood role. My son was a year old when his father and I decided to separate. And so, kind of juggling a lot of these unknown territories as a young person while you're still building yourself. There was a lot of things at play, but his father and I have always really put him first in every decision that we've made. I look at our journey and where we've come, we've come so far in the 10 years that our son has been in this world. And yeah, it's been a journey.
My goodness. Well, I love that you said you put your son first, and of course that's what you'd want to do. How do you help boost your kids' sense of security, self-esteem, and well-being during the transition of a new relationship or marriage?
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think. He was 5 years old when I met my husband. He was right before his 6th birthday when we got married. And going into this relationship, for me and our co-parenting relationship, I always knew that whoever was going to come into the fold kind of had to know that the dynamics of this co-parenting relationship are, we really respect one another, me and my co-parent. We put our child first. We do a lot of things together. And I know that that's not the case for all co-parenting families. I know that that's not achievable. But for us, we go to the pumpkin patch every year together and get family pictures in the pumpkins every year of his life. We celebrate birthdays together. We've done Christmas mornings together. And these experiences that we didn't want to miss out on with our child. And we wanted him to have a sense of family. So then adding another parent or another adult into the relationship, I think that that's a really hard thing to kind of come into. I think it takes a very special person to be able to feel secure in that relationship. And, I could understand why there would be like feelings of jealousy or, some negative feelings there. I think that that's totally understandable. And we were very fortunate to have my husband come in, and he's never, not put our child first also. So now we have 3 parents in the fold that all are very committed to making sure his needs and what's best for him is what comes first, and not any of the adults' emotions. Because I think that that's kind of what happens in a lot of co-parenting relationships, is that there's a lot of emotions that go on, with an ex, with, maybe you and your spouse, right? There's a lot of emotions that us as adults are having. And being able to really check those emotions at the door. And this isn't about me. This isn't about the other person. This is a commitment to honoring our child's needs and making him feel, like he's loved, he's wanted in both homes. The step parent now that you have, he's not your biological father, but you're, welcome here. You're loved here. You're not treated any differently. And I think that those are hard things to really navigate. And I understand, the struggles that some co-parents go through.
What impact has that had on your son that you've seen, being able to have that attitude and camaraderie with your, your ex and your husband now?
Yeah. I think that like for him, because since a lot of these things happen so young for him, it's always kind of just been the norm. Now that he's getting a little bit older, I think that he is more appreciative, that like sometimes this isn't how it plays out for some
Right.
families. And his both dads have coached teams together. They've coached baseball together. They've coached basketball together. My husband is a very dominant personality type. So he is like always dives right in, I want to be head coach. Like, this is great. Where his biological father is more, he's a little shy, reserved, but doesn't want to feel left out. So,
Right.
we're like, yeah, like, you guys are going to do this as a team effort, and both be there for this child. And there's definitely a lot of looks that you get at the games. Like, how is this able to work out like this? Like that it's just not the norm sometimes. But I think that he truly does. He feels that love. He's able to go to donuts with dads at school pre-COVID and, sit with both of his dads. And, I think that is what is best for him. We've now added 3 more children into my marriage. So I have 4 children. And even them, where they don't go between these 2 homes, they're not in a co-parenting family, they're still in a co-parenting family or a blended family, right? And making sure that they feel included in this as well has been important to all 3 of us parents, where when we do exchanges, when my son's father comes to pick him up, he always comes into our home, he's talking to my other kids, he's got a secret handshake with the girls, and making sure that everybody just feels loved, included, and not like there's any, this is our family and your family and mine and yours, and I just don't think that those are burdens for our children to carry. This isn't a life that any of them chose. It was a life that we chose for them. Right. And how can we best navigate that for our children so that they feel loved, included, supported? I think that that's important.
I think that is incredible and so rare. And I would imagine for some co-parenting situations that it could be difficult for the child. Yeah. So what advice do you have in showing compassion for your child as they kind of navigate through this, if maybe they're having a hard time?
Yeah. And I will say that even though we have this rare and unique situation where we get along, we're able to do things as a family, we have this communication that I know is like hard for some co-parenting families. There's still been feelings for my son, there was still conversations. Why are you marrying this man and not my dad? There's still conversations of, he doesn't like going between 2 homes. And it's not because, he doesn't love mom's home and he doesn't love dad's home, but because you miss your other parent when you're not there, and those are hard things to go through. I think that acknowledging those feelings is the most important thing. You don't always have to fix your child's feelings. They're going to have sad feelings. They're going to have angry feelings. They're going to have happy feelings. That's part of the human experience. Sitting with them and acknowledging them, validating them. I know it really does suck that you have to go between 2 homes. Like, I'm really sorry that is how it is. I think that is so human. And I think that as humans, like, all we want is to be heard, understood, seen. Like, think about how many times in your life that you just want to be understood, right? And we all have that deep desire. And I think that showing up for our children like that in all areas of their life is important, especially right here. And to kind of go on to, when co-parenting situations don't look like mine, maybe you guys aren't able to communicate, maybe you guys aren't able to celebrate birthdays together. I think that those things are okay. I think that as long as they are seeing a happy mom and a happy dad, 2 people that love them, 2 people that support them, that's important. And I think checking our feelings at the door, not bashing your co-parent in front of the child, remembering that your child is still half of that person, and, because like I said, we have a warm and fuzzy relationship, but there's reasons why we're not together. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, there's things that he probably doesn't like about me that he is not saying to my face, and there's reasons that I am not with him, but my child is still half of this other person. I respect that. I won't say bad things about him in front of my son. And, find a girlfriend that you can drain off some of those feelings with, right? And that goes for your marriage as well,
Totally.
You're always going to have those feelings in adult relationships where you're like, he's driving me crazy. And I think it's important not to voice those frustrations in front of our children. Those adult things aren't theirs to carry.
I think that is so true. Yes. And in your relationship, and not to be off topic, but my parents have been great about that for the most part. But I remember each one of them saying something little about the other when because I'm the youngest of 7. So I feel like by the last child, they're like, whatever, it doesn't matter what we say, but it stuck with me, even if it's a little bit older. So I think that's really good advice. And especially when you're co-parenting, because it could come across as a little more hostile. So
yes, we have some of our parents good and bad traits, right?
Yes.
I could think of his dad is a little disorganized, and now I'm watching my son and I'm like,
dang it.
I think you might have some of this, and we might need to help you, guide you through some of these things. But if you're sitting here, bashing these, we all have, our goods and our bad qualities, and you're saying, oh my gosh, he's so disorganized. And then you're internalizing those things great, I am too. And mom says this is bad about my other parent. What are they taking from that?
So true.
I know that that's never the intent with parents,
right.
Or hopefully that's not the intent, but I think that we do have to be intentional with what the messages are.
Yes. I love that. And nobody's perfect. You can make mistakes, but just try again the next day. All right. Abbey Williams, Mimosas with Moms podcast. Everyone go check it out. It's amazing. All right, Abbey. Whoa, my AirPod fell out. Talk about a real moment. Thank you so much for being here with us and taking the time and sharing your knowledge. It was absolutely incredible.
Thank you for having me.